Okay, we should call to order this regular meeting on September the 10th at 2:30. First, Council would like to acknowledge the Ucluelet First Nations, of whose traditional territories the District of Ucluelet operates. Just going to add a little comment here that this regular council meeting is being video recorded. That the recording will be live streamed or published on the District of Ucluelet's YouTube channel. We have one late agenda item. Does everybody have it? Okay. And as well as 12.6 should not read as 15.6. A little typo there as well. Looking for approval of the agenda with the late items.
So moved.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Adoption of the minutes from February the 20th.
Move adoption.
I'll second.
Any errors or omissions? Councillor McEwen?
It's just a name correction on page 7. It's Carrie Ho, H-O.
Okay, thank you. Everyone in favor with that correction? Okay, we're carried. And February 26th.
I'll move it.
Second.
Any errors or omissions? All in favor? Carried. And June 7th.
Move adoption.
I'll second it.
Any errors or omissions? None heard. Okay. All in favor? Carried. August 13th.
Move adoption.
I'll second.
Any errors or omissions? Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. And last one, February 19th.
I'll move it.
Second.
Any errors or omissions? Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Unfinished business. I don't believe there is any. No mayor's announcements for today. Public input. Opportunity for anyone have any questions or concerns? Just your name and address. Sorry, Nora, we need to go at the microphone now with it being, yes. Yeah.
On September 1st, the Times columnists wrote an article about Ucluelet being a tough town for visiting a couple with disabilities. They went to several restaurants and were unable to access the establishment, and I wanted to know if council first read the article and if they have a response and if there's a plan in place to make more of the buildings wheelchair accessible.
Maybe I'll get Mr. Boyson. Do you want to speak to that?
Sure, through the mayor. So I have comments in that article as well about a response to that inquiry. So there was an accessibility advocate who visited town and had some concerns about some of the experiences she had in town. I was interviewed by the TC reporter on that, and so I explained about our plans for working with Urban Systems, our consultant for our downtown core, and also for the Peninsula Road, to work with the community on upgrades, and accessibility is a part of that project as well. And in fact, Urban Systems, our consultants, they actually have a dedicated accessibility consultant who's going to be providing assistance on design for us, but it's also working with the community as well is an important part of that, to make sure that have all their entrances can be able to be accessible for all visitors.
So we're working on it, and in our future plans, definitely, it's a big part of it. Correspondence. We have 9 items. We have an open house, 9.1. I'm just inviting everybody to try to attend this open house on the 17th. Councillor Hoare, I think you wanted to speak to 9.2, I believe, the Waste Reduction Week.
I just wanted to point out that it is October 21st through 27th is being declared Waste Reduction Week in Canada, and we don't generally declare weeks here in town for things, but I just wanted to point it out. And you know what? We should all be trying to reduce the waste that's going to our landfill, because we only have a limited amount of time to use it.
Okay, thank you. Um, 9.3, I wanted just to speak to that Tourism Reculet is Denise is going there with most of her staff, so we'll be well represented at this conference. Go ahead for 9.4.
So I just wanted the webinar tomorrow for the Action on Plastics. I have RSVP'd for that, so if anyone wants to join me in my office at 10 o'clock tomorrow, they're more than welcome to.
Perfect. I'm going to be unable to be attending, but I'll be looking forward to see what comes out of it. Will you be penciling the following week as well? Are you doing both of them? Are they different themes? $9.5. I'm sorry, it just feels like there's something we need to talk about on that one. Say again? So if this is a live topic, I think for myself, obviously, although salmon fishing was epic for a lot of the recreational people in the area, a lot of the commercial fisheries, it wasn't so epic for them. And in principle, I do fully agree and support this the extension of EI support in particular, and would be requesting a motion for a support letter of supporting this this cause.
I will move that we write a letter to support the things that they're asking for.
I'll second that.
Great, thank you. Any further discussion?
I listened on my way back yesterday to an interview on the CBC with a number of fishermen who have fairly new boats, and they are unable to make their payments because they have not been able to fish with these boats. And these are First Nations fishers. So if they lose their boats and they're already behind multiple payments, then that means there's no food, fish, available to the groups. So it's a really serious issue. And unfortunately, it's not going to get any better anytime soon. The ocean's getting warmer.
Okay, all in favor? Opposed, carried. Thank you. Since we're on an environment theme here, we're going to go with 9.6.
I'll move that that the District of Ucluelet supports and wishes to join the submission from the districts of Squamish and Tofino in response to the Ministry of the Environment and Climate Change Strategies proposed amendments to the recycling regulation of the Environmental Management Act.
Second.
Any further discussion?
I just thought it was interesting that Squamish and Tofino got together to make this motion.
Okay, so all in favor? Opposed, carried. And I don't think anybody want to speak to 9.7, or can we just move to 9.8, 9.9?
I believe Heather Shobe is going to be a delegation at one of our October meetings, so we'll have a chance to learn more about this then. But she has provided a poster with regard to the opportunity for funding for coastal agriculture, and I thought that could be something that was shared on our Yuki mail distribution so that people know that these funds are available. I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. And then we have two letters, kind of the same theme. Perhaps I did ask, perhaps Mr. the Superintendent can just kind of speak with perhaps what's in your work scope regarding these. Have you read these letters? Maybe you don't mind getting to the podium. You're going to have to get used to it.
All right, through the mayor. Yeah, the scope of the work that we're doing right now does bring in Imperial in as part of it. So a lot of these issues that are there through urban systems, through the downtown village green improvements, we've incorporated traffic flows and pedestrian movement, and Imperial Lane is all part of that process of that coming up for the bigger plan as to that downtown core.
And there's some comments just regarding some immediate issues before the big plan. Is there any? Do you have anything on the radar that you'd be dealing with? I think there was something regarding water control.
Yes, the water control that's there. We're already budgeted in 2020 to do improvements on the storm drain in the area.
Okay, so this winter there's nothing on the radar for them. So for this,
nothing on the radar this winter, but in 2020 we've budgeted to do storm drain improvements in that specific area that's identified as the area that would be working on.
Okay, Councillor McEwen.
Through the mayor to staff, there was a suggestion for reflective paint on the speed bump. Is that something that could be done in the near future, perhaps?
The speed bump is actually not a bump. It is for water control because of the way the water wicks down that road, but can be painted if need be. Can be painted if need be.
So through the mayor staff, is that something that you would look after, or I believe some of the neighbors have volunteered to participate?
It would be something that we would look after.
I'll make a motion that the Public Works Department put some reflective paint on the bump that is there for water control.
I'll second that.
Could I, through the mayor, just to make sure, I think it's something that just staff would need to verify that's the right decision to do based on the design of the road, and it's just it's primarily for drainage, and we're cautious about putting things like that just across roads, making sure that we just need to look at it, I think, to decide. But I think I'd request that council direct staff to explore putting the paint on there, but I think we just have to make sure it's the right decision. There might be some other safety reasons that it's not the appropriate decision. So yeah, I think we should look at it a little closer. I'd like to give staff a little more time.
So I'll amend my motion to have staff look options for possibly painting or just otherwise bringing attention to this the speed bump.
I'm okay with that amendment.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. I just had one more. I'm going to make one more request here. Since these two residents have written to us, when you do come up with their conclusions, I would just make a formal request that the residents are given a written submission with your action and your plans for immediate as well as for 2020. And I'm not going to make a motion for it, but I would like to see that done in the next 30 days. I think giving them just some kind of a level of confidence that we're taking their matters seriously, right?
Comment through the mayor. So I think our staff do respond back to the residents through emails and through phone calls, and they've talked to them directly. So I think it's just to clarify that our staff are engaging with those residents, and I think I'd like to make a request that actually a motion is made for that letter, just so that it's make sure it follow through our process. If there's any letters that we write, I think it'd be great to have make sure that council endorses that completely. That's my request.
No, that sounds good. I just I'll make a motion that there will be a follow-up letter towards those residents regarding the action plan.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Just the one. There was 2 updates sent today with the highway closures, so it's in our inbox now. So just this isn't necessarily written in stone. There's 2 amendments to it.
Mr. Boyson, maybe you just want to speak to 10.6, just give everyone just a bit of an update regarding that, our request for Kennedy Lake.
Yeah, through the mayor. So we received notification that we were unsuccessful in our application that we submitted in the fall of last year for the infrastructure grant regarding our exploration of the feasibility of Kennedy Lake providing a water supply to the district. And I don't think the district or staff are completely surprised, and is competing against other bids, including Tofino's wastewater bid. So, but the process definitely was not an exercise that was wasted time at all, because for us we've got that ability now to understand the costs of what Kennedy Lake exploration would mean if we went to water collection or water supply from Kennedy Lake. And I think there's actually other communities, and including the regional district, that potentially are interested in that information. As our region grows, we understand it's going to be something that'll be of continual interest. So for us, for our water supply coming up in the fall, and for budget discussions for 2020, it'll be now looking at the other options of expanding our system and looking at our water supply system. Our plan is actually to come in November to present to council on our water system and our rates as well, to have that initial discussion leading into 2020, and that incorporates all the decisions there, as well as capital expenditures down the road.
Just wanted to address 10.2, the Green Green Communities Committee has given Ucluelet Level 4 status, achievement of carbon neutrality. And I thought in order to celebrate some success, it might be also an idea to put that out on our Yuki mail distribution to let the members of the community know that we have achieved Level 4. I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion. So I attended as the alternate CBT board member and represented us at the their welcome to Wando County, South Korea. Sent a team to visit. They are a future vying for future UNESCO designation. So it was a lovely little event. They're very they come from a really fortunate place, and they're really happy to visit a very fortunate place. So I think they'll do well if they get their designation. And that's it.
Councillor McEwen?
I just wanted to make note that this Saturday is the Multiplex Scramble golf tournament. It's their annual biggest fundraiser. It's this Saturday, the 14th, starting at 1 p.m. And there's lots of great prizes, but it is their biggest fundraiser for the Multiplex. So encouraging people to participate if you're a golfer, or you can just join them for dinner if you're not a golfer. And also, the Wild Pacific Trail is hosting their 20th anniversary celebration on Saturday, September 28th at 6:30 here at the UCC. Another event not to be missed.
Councillor Kemps?
Just a few events coming up that I wanted to do a shout out for volunteers. The first inaugural Soapbox Derby is happening September 21st. Last day for registration for the kiddos is this Friday, the 13th. We are looking for volunteers to help with setup starting at 8 a.m. and looking after the kids during the event and some teardown. There'll be hot dogs and face painting and ice cream, and the radio station will be there, so it should be fun. And also our 20th annual Edge to Edge Marathon is happening October 20th. And we have over 320 registrants so far, so we're also looking for volunteers for traffic and food and so forth. So just you could contact the chamber if you're interested in volunteering. And we're just finalizing some quotes for a ski to surf video to promote employee swaps with different municipalities. We're working with Sun Peaks and Whistler and Banff and Vancouver Island University for the culinary sector. But we're looking to do a fun video to be able to promote our area, that it's a fun place to work and play. And our youth entrepreneur program, Joy, you'll be very happy with this one, will be starting in November, and we're happily partnering with the youth room at the UCC. So we're hoping to build, it's a great partnership. We're hoping to build more involvement in both the programs, and working with the youth room is a great marriage in that. So we're excited about that.
Councillor Hoare?
I actually don't have anything to report because I was just going to remind everybody about the Wild Pacific Trail Society. But I will have a lot of stuff to do this week. I have meetings 3 days.
It's all good. And I have nothing to report at this time. Reports here, 12.1. I'll just have one question regarding this. Obviously, the speed bumps and seeing the cost of them have come in a little bit more than expected, but I must say everyone's loving them. I don't know if it'd be appropriate for the superintendent just to speak to you know, the installation of 3 and what your plan is, if you're going to put the 4th in, or are we going to hold off, or would you be able to speak to that? Since you're here. That's the joys of afternoon meetings now.
Yes, through the mayor, we did install the 3 speed bumps. Of course, putting the first one in took a little time just to get used to it, but once we got them in, they seem to be working quite well within the area. As far as the 4th one goes, we're kind of in a holding pattern. We're going to see how well these are doing with the 3, and then if needed, we definitely would have the 4th installed. And probably we'll be looking at another month or so before we be doing that.
No, I appreciate it. I think all of us, it's meeting everyone's expectations. Your crew did a great job on the installation, and I think everyone's pleased. So thank you for what you did. And unfortunately, it went over budget, but not only anyone's going to complain about that one.
Through the mayor, thanks everybody else.
And report 12.2, resolution tracking.
I think I've asked this before, but the very first one is from September 2018, and just wondering why it's taken a year to, and it's still in progress. Through the mayor to staff.
Through the mayor. So Ms. Fortune isn't here to respond, but I understand that there's continual discussions going on with that, trying to work to finalize things. So it's making its progress. There's regular meetings going on. It's taking time. So unfortunately, I have to ask Ms. Fortune to provide an update to you next time. If we can push to get it done and completed, I'll work with Ms. Fortune on that.
Alrighty. 12.3, council meeting webcasting policy. And we have one recommendation.
I'd like to motion to recommend that council adopt policy number 1-0550-1 titled Council Webcasting.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. And we're happy to see it, and we're happy to have our first one here tonight. So.
I will just have to recuse myself as I'm the race director for this one.
Okay, so we have a couple recommendations.
Move that council approve the closure of the following roads on Sunday, October 20th, 2019 for the Edge to Edge Marathon. A, Fraser Lane from Helen Road to Main Street in front of the Village Green from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. And B, Main Street and Cedar Road from the intersection of Main Street and Fraser Lane to the intersection of Cedar Road and Bay Street from 8:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. or until all Edge to Edge participants complete this portion of the race. Okay. And that council approve the following Edge to Edge Marathon operational requirements. A, use of the front section of City Hall on the race day by event staff and participants, and B, music and announcements from 8 a.m. until the conclusion of the Edge to Edge Marathon.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. 12.5, tax sale appointments. Is everybody clear on this one? Yep, go ahead.
Just wondering if the maximum of 575,000 is standard for the District of Ucluelet to use as the authorized bidder.
So it isn't. What it is a formula. We take the assessed value of the most expensive home that may be up for tax sale and use 75% of that value. So as of the date of that report, the assessed value of the highest property was, this is 75%. They have until 10 o'clock on the tax sale day to pay any delinquent taxes. Our list is much smaller than it was a week ago. I think we're down to one. So, yeah. There should be an ad in the paper, I think, on Wednesday. We have to list through the mayor. We have to list the properties twice, but they do have until 10 o'clock on the 30th of September to pay their delinquents.
Okay, thank you. And we have two recommendations.
I'd move recommendation 1 that council appoint Tamara Nelson, finance supervisor, as the acting tax collector for the District of Ucluelet, effective from September 30th, 2019 at 12:01 a.m. to October 1st, 2019 at 11:59 p.m. for the purposes of conducting the annual tax sale under the Section 645 of the Local Government Act. And move recommendation 2 that council appoint Mark Boyson, Chief Administrative Officer, as an authorized bidder up to a maximum of $575,000 for the District of Ucluelet during the annual tax sale beginning September 30th, 2019, under 648 of the Local Government Act.
Second.
Election services? That'd be a good idea.
Through the mayor, I could ask the manager of community planning to come and just speak briefly to it.
Yes. Through the mayor, just briefly, Ucluelet, the building inspections service is provided. It's basically in our servicing agreement with Tofino since 2017. We basically had a contract where 2 days a week the Tofino building inspector comes to Ucluelet and provides plan checks and building inspections, and that arrangement has worked really well. And it was a 2-year term to the original agreement, which expired in June, and we've been coasting, and so this is basically an update. So really the changes to it's really the incremental wage increase, so the wage is quoted at the current wage and on, and we changed it from 2 years to 3 years. It can be modified, if there's some change of circumstances or whatnot. Either Ucluelet or Tofino could bring that forward. The one other, so I would say just in general, we're recommending that we enter into this. It's been working very well, I would say. There's a note in there that we are, and we've had discussions with Tofino staff as well, that this sort of shared position, we're always sort of checking like, okay, how how's it working out? How's the capacity there? We have, compared to a lot of communities, this service, the turnaround on permits is very good. Actually, our times are excellent, but we always, watch that because that definitely affects the building community and the local economy. We have been having, discussions about, okay, in the 5-year financial plan, what does that look like? And Tofino, I think, is starting to look at, not immediately, but in the future, looking at building that capacity. So we'll have further discussions, and I think certainly fit within the budget discussions. And the other thing I would just note is we had feedback after this late breaking news from Tofino, and they caught that in the agreement, section 1C, which talks about the hourly rate, there is the last sentence of that talks about as per the collective agreement, it talks about a probationary period, which really made sense in 2017 when this was starting and it was a new employee, and that's really obsolete. So they just recommend scratching that, and that makes sense. It really doesn't apply because that essentially for the probationary period of the employee, it knocked the cost down. It was 90% of the wage, and at this point, it really just isn't needed. So otherwise, I could answer any questions, but the service has been, I think, excellent, and we'd recommend carrying on with a renewed agreement.
Perfect. Thank you. Any questions?
I would move recommendation 1 that council consent to the receipt of building inspection services from the District of Tofino according to the terms and conditions set out in the building inspection services agreement dated for reference the 4th day of September 2019.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Try it again. 13.1.
So I'll move that council adopt the District of Ucluelet Fire Department Establishment and Fire and Safety Regulations Bylaw number 1251, 2019.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? None heard. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Any other business? Okay, quiet one. Question period. Any questions from the audience? Man, okay. Okay, we're adjourned then. Thank you for coming.